here's something amazing. Mixed numbers. What on earth are mixed numbers? They're numbers which are mixed up. They're full numbers, like a 4, and then a fraction. So a whole number and a fraction. So 4 and 2/3. Let's make my brush a little bit smaller so I can draw a bit more accurately. What is 4/3? 4 and 2/3, I should say, as one fraction. Notice we've got a whole number 4 and a fraction together, so it's like 4 and 2/3. What's that as just one fraction though? Let's stop it being mixed up. Here's how you turn that into just a normal fraction. It will be a top-heavy fraction, which means the top line will be bigger than the bottom line. Here's what you do. You multiply the big whole number 4 by the denominator 3. What that does is convert that big whole number into thirds, or whatever the fraction is. So then you can lump them all together. 4 times by 3 is 12. So you have 12 thirds, and you also have that original 2/3. So then you just add on that number on top, the 2. 12 thirds plus 2/3 is 14 thirds. In other words, 4 and 2/3 is the same thing as 14 thirds. Now we know that, we might be a bit more confident if we're asked something like, what is 2 and a quarter times by 3 and 4/5? 2 and a quarter times by 3 and 4/5. First thing to do is to convert them both into fractions. If they're not fractions, they're going to be very hard, if not impossible, to multiply together. 2 times by 4 is 8. So 2 times by 4 is 8. So we'd have 8 quarters. Remember, we multiplied that big whole number by the denominator. 2 times by 4 to get 8. And then we add on the little number, the quarter, here. And that equals 9/4. Let's do the same trick to the 3 and 4/5. The whole number, 3, times by 5 is 15. So we have 15/5. And then we have that 4/5 left over. So we have added to it 4/5. 15 plus 4 equals 19/5. So we don't have 2 and a quarter times 3 and 4/5 anymore. We have 9 quarters there times by 19/5. If you remember how to multiply fractions, you times the top line together and the bottom line together. 9 times 19 is 171, I believe. So that would be 171 divided by 4 times by 5, which is 20. 2 and a quarter times by 3 and 4/5 is just 171/20. And if you'd like, what we can even do now is convert that 171/20 back into a mixed number. We can jumble it up again if you want. That's the correct answer anyway. We've done the hard work. Now we're just showing off. How many times does 20 go into 171? Well, 20 times by 8 is 160. So we'd have 8 as our whole number. Let's write it down here. 8 is our whole number. And what's left over? We've got 20 times by 8, which is 160. We've got 11 left over. So we've got 11/20 left over. That's how to convert an improper fraction back into a mixed number if we wanted to. Anyway, enough showing off. Let's try another quick example of using mixed numbers. Okie doke. That's beautiful, isn't it? All those patterns. Let's get rid of all this. And we should have some space in which to add mixed numbers this time. We're going to add, how about again if you shout out the number? Yep, let's do that. Okay, 4 and a third. I like that. Added to, what do you reckon? Okay, we could do that. Added to 5 and 2/7. It's going to be quite hard, but we can do it. What I would do now is convert them both into fractions. There is another way of doing it though. We can just add the 4 and the 5. When it's adding fractions, that is another way of doing it. You can't do this when you're timesing fractions, but when you're adding fractions, you could just add the 4 and the 5 and then carry on. But I'm going to do the same method as before, just to keep it very clear. What do we do with 4 and a third? We times the 4 by the 3 to get 12/3, and then we add on that little leftover, the 1/3. 1/3. That gets us 13/3. So we have 13/3. 5 and 2/7, we times the big number 5 by the denominator always, so 5 times 7 is 35. So we have 35/7, and then the leftovers, 2/7. What this gives us in total is 13/3 add 37/7. To add fractions, remember, we need to find a common denominator. What's a common denominator of 3 and 7? If we're not sure which number they both go into, how about we multiply them together? 3 times 7. So they definitely both go into 21. Both go into 21. 3 times by 7. The other number gets you to 21, so we times the top by 7. 7 times by 3 gets you to 21, so we times the top number by 3. If you're not sure about adding fractions, I have done another video on this. The main thing I want you to learn today is just how to deal with mixed numbers though. So if you're a bit confused by the adding fractions bit, just focus on how to deal with mixed numbers. Timesing the whole number by the denominator, then adding the leftover, doing the same thing to the other number, and then multiplying or adding or whatever. That's how to deal with mixed numbers. Anyway, let's finish this one off. 13 times by 7 is 91. And 37 times by 3 is 111, I believe. Now, 91 add 111 is 202. So our final answer is 202 over 21. That's the exact same thing as that's the exact same thing as 4 and 1/3 add 5 and 2/7. That is the secret behind mixed numbers.